So, hello everyone, and welcome to True Blue Woman. It has been a while. We have been gone for a little bit, but we are back like we never left. I hope you're all excited today because it's going to be an amazing. It's going to be very, very amazing topic we're going to be discussing today. So, for those joining us for the first time, I'd like to let you know about what True Blue Woman is all about. True Blue Woman is a community of excellent, bold, virtuous women who empower each other authentically and support each other authentically as well, and build a community that people feel welcome, share their expertise. People come on this show, share their expertise, share their experiences. And if you're watching and you have a story that's inspiring to other women and you would like to be on this show, please get in touch with me. We would like to have you on because we are no limits. We welcome everybody to come and share the story because I believe every woman has a story that's inspiring to one person or another, and that will be great. Joining me today is going to be amazing ladies who have a wealth of experience in their expertise. They are founders of different platforms, and they have been doing this for a very long time, and they'll be bringing on their experiences, their different aspects of challenges they've been going through and how they've managed them, and we'll just be brainstorming and talking about that. So please allow me to introduce Sue. So I have Sue Ng'aNg'a joining me all the way from United Arab Emirates. Sue, if you can come on, I believe, let me see where there you are. Yes, so I have Sue, and I also have Jessie from Johnston, Rhode Island. Johnston, Rhode Island. We will be talking about, and if along the line, if you have any questions, by the way, please feel free to ask them on the comment section. We will be answering those as well. So Sue and Jessie, if you can please come on. I believe I can see them. There they are. Yes, here we are. Welcome, Jessie, and welcome, Sue. So, Sue, I'm going to start with you first. Please introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay, yes.
Thank
Hi,
you.
everybody. It's good to be here today. And it's such a privilege and an honor to sit here and have this conversation. And my name's Sue Ng'aNg'a, and I am by profession a mental health and a life coach. I do coach women, high achieving women. Should say that because I will explain later what that means, to
Okay.
find clarity and draw from their inner strength. Why do you find clarity and draw from your inner strength? So that you can live a life full of purpose. You can live it confidently in every season of your life. So in one statement, I would say I'm a purpose coach, helping you to live your God-given purpose.
Great, great. Thank you. Thank you very much, Sue. And Jessie, please introduce yourself.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me as a part of this conversation. I am very excited to dive into this topic. And my name, for those who do not know me, is Jessica Bankston. Please call me Jessie. That's how I grew up. That's the name I'm most familiar with. And
Right.
I am the founder of Virtual Oasis Solutions, where we provide virtual administrative support as well as other types of business support like marketing for entrepreneurs and organizations who are specifically seeking to provide a service or a product that empowers the world around them. In addition to that, I am also a creative. I love to sing and songwrite. And thank you. And with whatever I do, I am just seeking to either empower or to help others who are empowering.
Great, great, great. Thank you very much, Jessie. Yeah, she loves to sing and she sings very well. I have to say. So today we're talking about a topic which over the years, especially transition has been there constantly, but for the most part, people have been able to plan it very well and know that okay, if they're ready to go and do that, etc., etc. But if looking back from the time of the pandemic, the COVID pandemic in 2020, up until now, it has been on the constant. And that time of the year, I have to say, a lot of people were caught up unawares. So I'm going to ask you, Sue, you, what was your greatest transition? But I believe it must have been prior COVID, though.
Yes.
Yes. So what is your greatest transition?
So I would probably pick two that one led to another. So my first transition was moving from Kenya to be here in United Arab Emirates in Dubai. And I got a very beautiful, profile job being a cabin crew, traveling to cities and countries and just enjoying that luxury life. That was beautiful and gave me an identity. And then the second greatest transition that happened is when I transitioned from being a cabin crew to a full-time mom. And then on top of that, I added homeschool mom.
I was actually, yeah, when I was writing my stuff down, I was writing that. I was like, there's actually two things involved. I said, no, I'm going to leave you to talk about it.
Yes, yes. So this was major. And when you talk about COVID time, that is when I realized that when you lean into something, you will help people out later, which we're going to talk about it because that was the moment where when I leaned into this big change, because it was a big change. It was a change that challenged my sense of identity, a change that challenged my confidence and how I showed up in life. Yes, so those were my two greatest transitions.
Tell me something. You say a change that's challenged your identity. What do you mean by that?
So coming from being a cabin crew, I had that identity of this woman that is high achieving, I mean, lipstick was the order of the day. Makeup at 4 a.m. was what I knew best what to do. Talk about my body. It was all shaped up. Then that is the identity that I had. I was this Sue who probably the outward gave me more boost. You know what I mean? Like the way I showed up from outward. So becoming a stay-at-home mom, who was I? How was I supposed to introduce myself? I didn't have labels.
No
I was just
label. Yeah.
yes, I was just Sue. So sometimes that's when you realize, is identity the label that you have, or is it from the inside out? So
Right.
that is where my identity was truly, truly challenged.
And how did you get through that?
Wow. Wow. It took a lot. At first, with the loss of even clarity, what was I supposed to do? I had a passion. So this is where it starts. I had a passion to take care of my children, to be present with them. So that's when I stopped flying. But then is passion enough? It truly wasn't enough. Because in that moment, I didn't know what to do. I was like, so here I am, first time mom. And then I get another baby, I have two kids, and then I decide to homeschool. Passion is not enough. So I needed to find something greater than passion. I leaned into people who've gone before me. I leaned into mentors. I leaned
Right.
into moms who have been homeschooling. So I was connected to moms who I never knew, but because they've gone before me, I sat with them and I said, let me know how this homeschooling is done. Another thing is I went on online mentors and online, I thank God for this online facility. There's always someone who's gone before you. There's always someone who's walked that journey. So I watched a lot of YouTube podcasts and then books. I read a lot of books. But the greatest one was the community that I walked into. So I looked for community within here in Dubai. I even had to move from the place I used to stay to a different place to be closer to a homeschool community. And
Oh,
that I wouldn't trade for anything. I wouldn't trade it for the knowledge. I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was so tangible. It was
right.
presence, the presence of these women and my children finding community and not looking like I'm doing this weirdo thing. It just brought so much clarity, so much peace, so much certainty that, you know what, I don't have to figure it out yet
All by yourself,
by
exactly.
myself, but someone is here to pull me out. Someone is here to
Mhm.
say, you know what, try this, do that, which was
Right.
very, very fulfilling. And did I find my identity? It wasn't from my tag. It wasn't from my label. It was from the inside out.
Inside out.
Yes, it was growing. Who do I want to be? It was, who are you becoming, Sue? Who do you want to
Right.
be? So it was so much from the inside out. I became confident, not because I showed up with a lipstick, but because I knew that
Yeah,
what I'm,
lipstick business. I know it
yes,
very well.
I know. And full makeup. I thank you for that. I love that. That's why I showed up today with full makeup and lipstick. I love it. But the change became from the inside out.
The inside out, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
No,
yes.
it's important. What you're saying is actually very, very important because if we take the labels, because people think that success is actually the labels we put on ourselves and the ones that people put on us. So when you're going through transition, I think one of the things that's going to hold someone back is, who am I going to introduce myself as? Who do I say?
Mm,
Who am I? You see, again, like you're saying, like just like you're saying, oh, cabin crew, you cannot introduce yourself or as Emirates crew, the big thing. I mean, the big airline, the big this, you're not showing up as that's like saying, oh, I'm a stay-at-home mom. So people will be thinking, you do what? But it's actually there's beauty in it. And
mm.
change is hard, but again, change is a gift.
Yes.
Change is hard, but change is a gift. And when you start going through that motion of 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 transitioning, you are growing, you are evolving, and you've got to do some shading as well,
Mm,
because now that shading also goes now to tie up to what you're saying, identity, because sometimes people are attached to other people for identity purposes. You want to be associated with so and so because of the identity it gives you in the community, instead not realizing, like you say, it comes from the inside out, because you've got to be content on the inside. If you're not content on the inside, you're not going to radiate it on the outside, because that you are constantly becoming. So now that's
mm,
where that shading comes off, because you've got to let some people go. You've got to let some people go in your journey of transitioning. Thank you very much, Sue. I'm going to segue a little bit and go onwards to Jesse. Jesse, over to you now. What has been one of your greatest, or two or three, whichever you want to pick, transitions?
So I also have two. I was going to choose one, but because of Sue, I feel comfortable to share the two that came to
Yeah.
mind first. So both have to do with a transition from a job onto something else. So the first was a transition from this job that I had. It was a very demanding job, but it was one that was also sought after from a lot of people. And so I left that job to pursue a creative training program focused on music and also leadership. And that shift from the job to this training program where I was the oldest person in the program, amazing group of people, but in a lot of ways, I was out of my comfort zone outside of focusing on singing and leading through music as well as through teams. The second greatest transition, I would have to say, is when I transitioned from a full-time job to being the full-time owner of my business. That
Wow.
was a major shift just because when you go from working for someone and you are now not looking to someone for direction. You're now looking to yourself in a way to direct things. Mentally, I really had to shift there. And then also just the change from going from a business or a company that had coworkers and then it's just me.
You're
So,
there now.
right, right.
Right.
So that was quite a change. I wouldn't trade it for the world, but it was such a change.
Right. Like I'd say, I mean, change is the only constant. And again, it's a gift. Like I've gone through between 2020 and up until now, I think I've gone through 3 transitions at the same time. And what actually I've realized is sometimes if you're actually paying attention, that transition actually warns you in advance. It warns you in advance, not all the time, but for a big percentage of time. Like when I was leaving corporate and now going into setting up the leadership academy and then going into full-time doing ministry work and stuff, I actually knew. So I prepared myself. However, I have to say there is no amount of preparation that is going to be 100%. It's
Right.
constant growing, just like I said, there's constant growing and this shedding. There's constant growing and this shedding. So if you're really paying attention, one of the things that I've realized in transitioning is that environment that you're in, if it's something that needs to be done, that really needs it, you need to take care of and you need to handle this now, is that environment will stop accommodating you and it's going to vomit you out.
Yes.
It's going to vomit you out. Either you're ready or not, it's going to be. So if let's say for the most part, if this is in relation to jobs where you're working or even businesses and stuff with the people you're associating yourself with, that environment honestly stops accommodating you. And whether you're ready or not, you can plan. It's good to plan. And if you can, you should, because you know what you want to do and you know exactly where you're going ahead. But that environment is going to vomit you out one way or another. I don't know, either through the company's restructuring, either termination, unfortunately, I don't know. But that environment is going to vomit. I always look at it like a Jonah moment. That whale would hold you for a long time. It's going to vomit you out at the place you're supposed to be. That is the beauty of it. You're going to arrive at the place you're supposed to be. So if you can plan for it, fair enough. Well and good. And one of the ways that I say that the environment stops accommodating you is like for myself, I became very irritable in otherwise things that I enjoyed doing. I enjoyed managing and coaching the cabin crew. I enjoyed just sometimes having a chat with them, doing this and that, talking. I enjoyed traveling, like being on flights with them, being in LA for 3 days. It's reached a point I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand it. And I could feel like I could actually feel like I'm very irritable. So I knew I had to do something about it and change my environment, because that means you've outgrown the place. So transition is calling you. So transition was calling me. So I was able to prepare myself. But of course, I didn't prepare myself 100%. At least I went a good 90%. Now, going back to like what Sue was saying, now when setting up the academy is, oh my God, it looked very different from what I had in mind. Looks so totally different. So I had to connect with a community of people who had the results that I wanted. I looked for mentors, because see, I looked for mentors online, and I found someone from the UK who's still my mentor and coach at this time. And I got connected to this Professional Speakers Academy, and they were doing each and every single thing that I envisioned that I should be doing. So I connected with them to date. So you see, there's still that evolving, there's still that shedding. And now when it comes to the shedding bit, I have to let some people go, because you see, not everybody is traveling to the same direction that you're going. And they're well-meaning people, but sometimes you have to disconnect so that you can be able to connect yourself to the right places that you're supposed to be going. Because when now it's interesting, like sometimes you're walking with people but you cannot run with them. if that makes sense. You can be working people, but you cannot run with them. So, but and especially in the formative stages of a business, you will need to work with people that you can run with the vision that you do have. So, Jessie, when you transitioned, were all this planned or unplanned?
Some of it was planned, some of it was not. Just like you shared, sometimes it's 90% of things being laid out. So when I jumped from being an employee to a full-time business owner, initially I had started out taking a course. And it was a course that I thought, okay, this is something that will tell me if I am ready to start a business. I loved the course and it just confirmed everything that I was feeling on the inside and how I felt God was leading me. And so I started the business and I was thinking, okay, for maybe a year or 2 years, I'll be working full time. I'll just get the business up and running. 6 months down the road, I start to go through what you were sharing, that shedding process, and just knowing, okay, I need to transition from my place of employment. I still was second guessing and doubting because logically, as someone who naturally plans, I'm thinking, I can't possibly be ready to go full time with my business. And then I just heard God tell me it's time. And
Right.
so when he said that, I had peace to make that transition. But even with that, I was nervous. So, as far as the planning is concerned, I had taken that course. Because of that course, I was able to connect to a community, an online community. And that allowed me to know what systems I needed to have in place and what structure I needed to have. It also gave me a sense of belonging because as an entrepreneur, sometimes that goes against the grain of the way that most people normally think. And so I had this group where I could ask, okay, am I crazy or is this normal? And also, I was able to find out what I should be planning because I could take this course, I could read books, but to actually ask people who were doing it,
Right.
they were able to tell me, okay, you need to do this, but you also need to do this. This is what the books won't tell you. This is what you won't find out from any course.
Mhm. I like what you said. This is what the books won't tell you. And that's the importance of a community, because from what I've heard from you and Sue saying at different times is community. And I got connected to a community as well, because there's some certain things the books won't tell you. Some certain things the books won't tell you, and the people who've gone through it. And now back to you, Jessie. How? Because I'm sure, did you have any setbacks during that time? Did you think like, let me go back to Egypt, sort of thing? Let me go and see what's happening there. I was much better. Okay, there. Did you have such moments?
Oh, yes, often. Often, especially in the first couple of months, I was thinking, okay, I have a peace in my heart, so that means it's just going to be smooth sailing. And I couldn't have been further from what it actually ended up being. Uh, I really had setbacks with mindset of feeling, just to be fully transparent, feeling like an imposter. I dealt with that imposter syndrome of showing up in these online communities and thinking everyone has it all together. And here I am. I feel like someone's going to find me out or so someone's going to see right through it. What those online communities helped me with, and other communities too, was to show me that other people felt the same way.
Right. I felt that at one point. Yeah. You actually, I think a lot of entrepreneurs over the first formative stages, you do feel that. Yeah.
Right. So that was something that I dealt with. And then also, just on a very practical level, I shifted from having steady income and then I had to transition to seek after that income. So
Mm-hmm.
that was a shift also. And also just the shift of being able to leave my desk and talk to someone. So now, I could go outside, I could walk around. So that was a blessing, but it looked a lot different than me having that coworker community because the place that I had worked at, it was so family oriented and it felt like I was working with family. So I grieved a little bit with that. So I knew that I had to find a replacement, and that is when, like Sue had said, I had to lean into community. I had to be intentional about it, and also I ended up getting a dog.
Oh,
I needed a sidekick to.
well, I like that.
You needed a companion in those
A
moments.
companion in those
Right.
moments. Yeah, because
Yeah.
you see, it's like now there's a vacuum here. And now, actually, thank you very much, Jesse, for saying that. Now I'm actually throwing this now back at you, Sue, because you had a household. You had a household, you had a family, you had this. And though, however, I'm sure there was that grieving point.
Yes.
How did you deal with your household, and how are you kind to yourself? Because
Mm.
here now you've left work, now you stay at home mom. There's that grieving moments here and there. Probably it shows up and you don't even realize. And but you've got to be present for your husband. You've got to be present for yourself. You've got to be present for the kids. How
Mm.
did you deal with this?
Wow. You know, when I think about the being kind to yourself, I'm thinking it didn't happen naturally because I had this vision in my mind that things needed to go in a certain way.
Right.
So I had put structures in place. However, not everybody is stepping into structure like me. So
Right. Yeah.
I could say I was very graceful to my children. I mean, they were children, they were growing up, bless them. They were not colleagues. So I was graceful to them. Like you can get it however you want to get it. But I think the person that I wasn't graceful to as much was my husband and I, because I was feeling,
Right.
let's get this vision. As soon as we get it, as soon as we fly.
Mm-hmm.
And because he was in and out of the country, I think he was off the hook as well. So I was the person in the boiling pot. And I realized the sooner I be graceful to myself, the
Right.
better. And
Right.
how did that happen? I think it happened when I sat with this community and I saw how gentle they were because I joined a Christian homeschool community and
Mm-hmm.
it is Bible based. It is all stemming from Christ-like.
Mm-hmm.
So when I laid my head on the bed at night, the question was like, were you Christ-like today? Were you gentle? Were you patient? Did you have self-control? Did you show up with love? And those, at first, they became like judgment questions to myself, and they became so condemning. But then, because the change was from inside out, I
Mm-hmm.
needed to change the mindset that I had. I needed to change the attitude, and I needed to be willing to grow. So
Right.
from that place, I knew, Sue, you're not gonna get it by beating yourself up. You're not gonna get it by telling yourself this is the expectation you have for yourself, so you gotta Give it to yourself as soon as you can. No, I was going to get it if I just had a chance to be graceful to myself, to tell myself, you know what? You probably don't feel like you're enough right now, but you'll only be enough if you do tell yourself that. You know, it was more of an inside conversation.
Tell yourself that, yeah, have a
Yes.
conversation, put yourself
It
into a
was,
meeting.
it was, yes, I had to call myself to a meeting and say, it won't, and you know, the good thing is the energy that you have within you is the energy that you pour.
Right. Yeah,
So if
absolutely.
I was graceful to myself that day, I was graceful to my children.
Nice.
So that is where I realized the importance of self-care and soul care.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was going to show up empty. Then how am I going to pour out?
Right.
So I think in that being so kind to myself and being kind to others, it starts with me. Being
Right.
kind to myself. And where did I anchor myself? So I see like it's a threefold equipment. So here is the world out there, which included my children, my husband, and every change that was happening. And this is me, and this is God. So this is constant. The change is constant. The
Happening.
me is unsure. I needed to grow. I needed to change my mindset, and I needed to change my attitude. But there is God who had it all, has all together. He never changes. So I needed to anchor myself more on him and say, Lord, your grace is sufficient. You know, you called me into this, you will give me the strength.
Strength.
Yes. So I bet that is how I can sum up my gracefulness, that it wasn't a switch of a button, it was a journey.
Oh, wow.
And
Right.
as you
Yeah.
see, change is a gift. It was also a gift I had to give to myself.
You have to accept a gift,
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise, I mean, when you give a gift is ushered to you, and you just can't be looking at it and saying, "Oh no, I don't want it." It's a gift, and I mean, most gifts are not all a pleasant gifts. I mean, you have to
Mhm.
accept that gift because it's actually ushering you into a season, into a new you, as in a place now where you're going to be making a discovery constantly. Because when you're too comfortable somewhere, you stop making a discovery of yourself, which you're supposed to be doing every day.
Mm.
Because every day you have to become the excellent and authentic version of yourself. You become the new you, you become the new. But when you're in your comfort zone, that discovery stops.
Yeah.
So, but when you embrace this transition, that you're in there and it is happening, again, like just by piggybacking on what you say, you've got to ask yourself a couple of questions. Was I this? Did I do this? You have it's like, that mental check thing. Did I do this? Did I do this? And those structures, by the way, it's creating certain structures that things have to be like this, it has to go like this. They can tend to be, it's good to have a structure, but I think in the first formative days and weeks and months, it's not going to go as you want. I had to learn that the other, because I'm a very, very structured person, very, very organized. I can even plan my birthdays in January. I can be planning my birthday today.
Wow.
I'm those kind of people who do. So I had to get off that, because you see, as you're transitioning, and then especially like entrepreneurship, you're bringing people onto your business. You've got to be someone, and you don't want to throw them off balance. So you've got to, again, be kind to yourself and not force things to happen. It's like it's like, you see, when what are the stages of a butterfly? You've got the caterpillar, then you've got the larva, and am I saying the right sequence? And then there's
Let me give you the very hungry caterpillar version of a homeschool mom. So you have the egg, you have
yes,
the egg, and then the egg goes into a caterpillar, and then the caterpillar goes into a cocoon,
cocoon.
and
Yes.
the butterfly.
Now,
Yeah.
the stage that is the most dangerous, where people self-sabotage, is the cocoon, because it's
Mm.
dark, you feel trapped, you want to
Mm.
get out. So, but if even the people on the outside, this is another thing. This is where the shedding has to come in as well. You've got to stop the people on the outside who are trying to force you to do something which you're not supposed to be doing. Because if you're forcing this cocoon open, you kill it. You kill the beautiful butterfly. So you've got to let it come out. It's just like a flower as well. You've got to let the petals fall off by themselves. Because if you force them out, then it becomes ugly.
Mhm.
Because there's that going to be that dark moment, and that dark moment does not necessarily mean it's that nothing is happening. That is actually when a lot is happening.
Mm.
A lot is happening, and then this like some of the things that I did, some of the challenges that I had myself during transitioning is I knew somebody else was transitioning. Then you start having this savior complex. You want to help them. You've come out of, it's like you've come out of a car, you're going to this next car. You have this savior complex. I mean, like thinking, okay, remember, like what is it? Attend to yourself first. Attend to yourself first, and then you go. So now there's that looking outside the window, then you want to be the savior to this person. It is okay to say no.
Mm.
It is okay to say no, because there's some people, like you see, like Jesse was saying earlier on, you're in this community and you think everybody has it all together. So
Mm.
I was when I now joined the academy as well, the speakers academy, and this lady actually who thought I had it all together. I was like thinking to myself, how wrong are you? I didn't have it all together. Maybe I just knew how to sit still and calm and and I can be very stoic. I don't really show emotion that everything's not okay or something like that. So, and she literally used to come and sit next to me and sit on the floor and say, "Hey, I know you can change my life." She used to say that. So I said that, I started laughing. I said, listen, we've got to walk through this together. So I probably started helping. And then I said, wait a minute. It's okay to say, hey, no, you know what? Let me work on myself. And then when I am ready, then I can.
Mm.
Because I used to feel guilty, like shutting her off, and she'd feel bad and she'd make a face and say, hey, listen, I'm trying to figure myself out at this moment. So just sit down with them and say, you know what, not right now. It's like, okay, then well, I'll get back in touch with you again. So it's okay to say no, because then you get off focus. And the moment you're off focus, you start losing trail. You
Mm.
start losing trail, and then you start, it's like you just all over the place again. So now back to you, Jesse, building resilience and coping mechanisms. How did you do that?
So I did this a few different ways. So one of the ways was, and I may sound like a broken record, but I have just realized that you can't do anything in this life if you want to grow and be great in it, you have to have community. We're not meant to walk alone. Even though sometimes we may feel alone, we don't have to be alone. And so I truly believe that there is a community out there for everyone. So I really leaned into community and a few different types of communities. The first one was my faith-based community. I leaned on this heavily. Um, we are not just one-dimensional beings. And so we really have to take care of not just one part of ourselves. It's important that we nourish our spirits. So for me, my faith-based journey has been going to the church, being a part of the church, um, serving in the church, because I've realized that the more you serve, the more you pour out, the more that you also get, the more that you discover. And it's kind of counterintuitive too, because sometimes, like for example, I remember in high school, um, at the end of our last year, we had to volunteer somewhere. So I remember serving at a soup kitchen, and it would be on a Saturday morning. For me at the time, it was very early. And so I remember waking up so early, dragging myself out of bed, but going there and serving food. And I remember how energizing it was. And there was transition during high school. But despite all of the challenges, the hormones going on and at that age, and just trying to make a discovery of who you are and, what is life. In the midst of all of that, helping people, taking the focus off of myself and my situation helped me uh, realize how blessed I was and seeing the gift that in transition, like you had mentioned, transition, there is always a gift in it. So focusing on community and also focusing on mindset. So I had to be very aware of what I was thinking. And what helped me with that is one of my clients at the time is a coach. So he was very instrumental with helping me kind of catch thoughts or even things that I might say. And he'd be like, "Why did you say that?" Or, what's the root of that? So going back to what Sue had said, asking those questions and not just letting things just continue um, or thought processes grow that weren't healthy. So resilience was definitely for me nurtured again through community, focusing on mindset, and then also realizing that it was okay to take breaks. It was okay to rest. I think as people who have these goals that are oftentimes big, um, a lot of times we may push ourselves, which is good. It's good to push ourselves. It's good to stretch and to grow, but it's also very important to know when to take a break.
Right.
So even nature shows us that breaks are important. Music, one of my passions, there's transitions in music.
Right.
There's breaks and there's rest. And I think probably most things, if not everything. So those were the things that helped me build resilience.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. I mean, breaks are actually very, very important. And it's like, and I usually believe it's, when you take a break and then you shut everything down, it's like you're resetting. Anything you reset works 100% even faster and better and gets rid of anything that's unwanted. And then you're able to at least look at everything in a three-dimension and look at it on all angles and able to make the right decisions moving forward. Because if you're just constantly just on the grind, on the grind, on the grind, on the grind, you wouldn't even know if you're doing the right thing. You
Right.
wouldn't know if you're on the right track. You could have gotten lost a long time ago, and then you're just wandering off. But if you didn't take a break, you would realize, hey, wait, I didn't think I'm supposed to be turning this way. I'm supposed to have turned that way, right? Thank you very much, Jesse. So, what are some of the things that you probably shed off? Like things that you disconnected from, things that you unlearned, that which are very instrumental in your journey in the transition of the homeschooling and everything.
So I like what Jesse said, that rest is very mandatory. So that is one thing I think that I unlearned, because being in a very high profile and very successful job, rest doesn't look like rest. It looks like the more you go, the more you have it together, you know.
Right.
So I had
Yeah.
I had to unlearn that, and I had to know that when you take time to rest, you actually re-energize yourself.
Right,
And
absolutely.
also, like as a coach right now, this month of May, as we're coming to an end, was my month for recalibrating. So I sat down and I looked at every area of my life holistically. I went to spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, and I said, which areas of my life, with these areas of my life, how can I recalibrate? How can I step back and look at it? Am I going the right direction? Like you said, Marjorie, or do I need to detour?
Yes.
So those are some of the things that are really needed to unlearn and relearn. And another thing was structures. See, when you are in an employment, some of these things are structured for you. You know, the
Yes.
rules are set, the responsibilities are set, the timings is set. Like being a cabin crew, the schedule was set.
You said so you just have to
You
yeah.
just have to pack your bags and head where you need to go. So I had to learn how to structure my life. I had to learn those little small habits that build up. Something like movement and exercise became a part of my life because I needed it for my mental sanity. I needed it for my emotional well-being. So those are the things that I relearn and learn because they needed to do with me, you know, because it was inside out. It had
Again,
nothing to do,
yes.
you
Again,
know,
being kind to yourself.
yes. And I had to be very present in the moment, you know,
Right.
like I realized things will be different. I will wake up with a structure, beautiful. But when things are different out there, it is from the overflow of me,
Right.
you know, that I'm going to show up. I'm not going to show up because the day was beautiful and because, you know, the everybody was good. The kids had no tantrum. No, it will be from a place of peace. Am I peaceful from within me? So rest, having a structure that worked for me,
Mhm.
and being present in the moment really helped me to build that positivity to work with transition.
Great, great. Now over to you, Jesse. Now, from all this, you've learned quite a lot with the different major transitions you've gone through life, and it's amazing how you said that. I think I wanted to laugh when you said you struggled with imposter syndrome. You don't even look like you struggled with.
That was a big one. But you know, the funny thing about that is every time I've heard someone say that they've struggled with that, I'm like, I would never know. I could never tell. Like when you mentioned that, I'm like, I would never
Yes.
guess that.
Yeah, no, I seriously, and I can tell you, like in our academy, like we're so many of us, and our Zoom meetings at the time, of course, we were starting, we were like almost like 80, 90 people. And I'm like thinking, what am I doing here? Totally forgotten that I went through the university, I graduated with these people, and I still don't have together. Some of them still don't have together. Some of them we graduated with them. But I felt like I was in the wrong place. I was like thinking, what am I doing here? I'm like, Q&A, okay, video off. I don't want to be asked any questions. I don't want to be asked for any contribution. And I'm thinking, you start doubting yourself. And then you come and realize, wait, hang on. If, like Sue said, if you don't show up for yourself, if you
Mm,
don't show up, and you've got to be present because it's in the inside out, it's just not going to be
Yes.
all over there. So, and then I had to, so, and I was like, so I started participating. I started even like I would answer the questions. And then I realized, it's not really that bad at all. And I actually belong here. That is why I went through the training. That is why I joined the community. So you've got to talk to yourself those positive words. It's like Jesse, you mentioned one of your coaches asked you, why would you say that? You see, and I'm a strong believer of don't, if you don't want it, don't say it. Don't say the wrong things
Yes.
about yourself because words have creative power and that we are the sum of the words that we speak about ourselves. So if we don't want it, don't say it. So I trained myself constantly to say and speak the right thing. Even if somebody told me something that was contrary to that, I would tell them, I don't know who you're talking about. Well, that is not me, sort of thing. Yeah. So now, JC, if you were to meet a younger Jessica Bankston now, who's living corporate, and then they're now setting up, they're going into a training program, and they're going into entrepreneurship, founding their own virtual Oasis, of course, not yours. Yours is the original one or the only authentic one. What would you tell them?
Ooh, this is a really good question. What would I tell the younger me or someone going through the transitions that I have gone through?
Right.
I would say that you should expect change. And that may seem very simple, but I think a lot of times people want to feel comfortable. And sometimes comfort to a lot of people is okay, this is how it's going to be. I'm going to have these systems, have these habits, and okay, that's it. But when you are comfortable knowing that change is always going to be happening and you're expecting it, you're expecting to have to pivot, and also having that freedom of knowing if this doesn't work out, it's okay. You learn from it, you take those lessons. There is no failure unless you give up, unless you quit. So if you know this didn't work, whatever it was, there were lots of things I tried, lots of things that I thought were the done deal in my journey, the transitions that you mentioned and that I've shared. And now I'm doing something different or I have a different system. And I know that tomorrow there may be a reason why I need to pivot, I need to change, and that's okay. So I would tell someone that change is going to happen, be okay with it. And I would also say it's okay if it feels uncomfortable right now, but if you don't quit, you'll start to feel comfortable with those changes, even if they're sudden.
Right. Yeah, I like what you say, like people should be open for change because you can chop and change whatever it is that you're doing. You can restructure, you can realign, you can, do all that. But the vision is the one that just doesn't change because you have a certain vision and that vision has to come alive. So you
Right.
can change. It's okay to chop and change and do other things here and there. It's just that the vision has to stay. So Sue, before you speak to Ng'aNg'a, Sue, you said something at the beginning which I think I would like you to let us know about. Yes, you say you coach high achieving women. I don't want to forget this one.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
The high achieving women is a place of mindset, is a place of how you carry yourself. When I introduced myself like that one time, a lady came to me and said, I don't think I can be your potential client. I said, why? She said, because I think you're looking for the ones who've made it in terms of career. I think you're looking for the ones who've made it in terms of position. I said, no, I am a stay-at-home mom and a homeschool mom, and I'm a coach. So how do I see myself? I see myself as a high achieving woman in
Right.
the area that I am called to be.
Mm-hmm.
If you're called to be in the marketplace, see yourself as a high achieving woman in your mind. Make your mindset see that it's not high achieving intangibility. Yes, you could have the money, you could have the luxury, but even if you don't, one butterfly doesn't tell the other butterfly, I look beautiful than you, because God has made each of them in their very unique way. So
Right.
in whatever season you are in life, in whatever platform you are you seeing yourself as a low, not sure woman? Or are you
Mm-hmm.
seeing yourself as a high achieving woman? Are you seeing yourself as I am enough? That's the woman I'm going for, because that's the woman I'm calling out when I coach you, that I am enough in where I am.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right, because mindset is very important because that's where all the conditioning happens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All the conditioning happens. And again, so the thing to speak to yourself is what built your mindset. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever you're going to be saying there and in your mind, even because you talk to yourself more than you speak to anybody every other day.
That's
And
true.
and again, like I focus on mindset quite a lot sometimes as well, because it is all on here. Whatever is
Mm-hmm.
in here, is going to travel 6 inches into your heart, and then you start speaking out, and then thoughts become words, words become habits, it becomes actions, it becomes these things. All of a sudden, before you realize, you created something out of your mind. So now, back to you again, Sue. Speak to a younger version of you who is going through this transition and is going through all these very fabulous things happening, some at the same time. I think there's two legs sort of happen at the same time. What would you tell them?
Wow. Wow. I would look at that girl and tell her, for sure, life will change.
Yes.
You will go through a lot of transitions, and that is every dimension of your life. You will go through changes spiritually. You will go through changes emotionally. You will go through changes mentally, physically, socially. Your circle will change. Like you say, some people will need to shade away.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I would tell the girl the greatest change and the greatest gift you could give yourself is to allow yourself to grow. And in your growth, change your mindset. Have a perspective that looks at things in a positive way,
Right.
because all these things are variables. They are variables. They will change. The world will demand more from you. But from the inside out, if you anchor yourself in a mentality that, you know what, I am stronger than I think, and I know I can tap into the inner power. And I will also tell the young girl that God is an ever-present help in time
Right.
of need. He is so ever-present that I should never forget to reach out for his help. And the last one is, in this transition, if you stay in it, you are becoming a person of purpose. You're tapping into a deeper potential of you,
Right.
and you are unfolding into an identity. You becoming a person that you will look yourself in the mirror and you will love yourself. You love yourself in a different way. You will say, you know what, let me talk about something about body changes. Transition brings a lot of body changes. I mean, I've got 3 boys. You can imagine how much I've had to shade over the years. So
Right.
when that younger self would wear a tank top with no stretch marks, there is the older me here that has got stretch marks. So that younger self is not to regret the days, but to embrace the days that were there and say, you know what, you had it well then, but even right now where you are, it will look different. But the different doesn't mean it's a gift. Like you say, the different
Yeah.
is not a challenge. And even if it's a challenge, it is inviting you. It is an invitation to
Right.
embrace the changes in your life.
Yeah, I like how you've put it, because you see those changes are going to happen. That change is going to come. You've got to embrace it. You've got to welcome it. It can be confusing. It's going to be chaotic at the beginning. It's very daunting, because especially if you're dealing with something that you haven't dealt with for the first time. But I always say this as well. Life is lived in seasons and experienced in levels. You will have to go from levels, from glory to glory to glory. And you're going to go through a season. And seasons are different for everybody. And it's actually a gift that should be embraced. I would say a gift that should be embraced, because if you do not embrace that gift, it will cost you more to stay in your comfort zone than for you to move into the next place.
That's true.
It will be very costly, because, and again, there's this school of life. You can't skip class. You cannot skip class. You have to go through that class. You have to go through that session. And if you happen to somehow, I don't know, skip that class one way or another, what is going to happen is you're going to come back to that same place. So you might as well go through it. It says, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. It doesn't say, though I sit, though I lie down and think, though I walk through it, embrace it. I mean, face it. And there's a statement that's constantly said quite a lot, is that you don't know the strength that you have until you start going through something. Sometimes, again, just back to the mindset. Sometimes people have a defeat mindset, you think that, oh, I cannot do it, when you haven't even tried it. When you haven't even tried it. And again, when those changes, because let's say, for example, if there's unexpected transition, job loss and stuff like that, just know that there is always something that can be done about it. And what am I doing about it now? Because if you start telling yourself on wallowing in pity party and doing all those sort of things, it's not going to work for you. You have to embrace it. You have to, people just have to welcome it, welcome whatever that is happening and be free and ready to say like, hey, listen, I can take this and I can take care of this. I can handle this. Again, that conditioning of the mindset, speaking to yourself the positive words, speaking to, telling yourself that I can do, and sometimes you've got to be your own cheerleader. I speak to myself a lot of times in the mirror and I tell myself all the best things. Seriously, if I was on a conference just by myself, I'd buy my own tapes and listen to myself again. For real. Because you've got to do it. If you don't do it, I mean, no one's coming to pick you up, right? So just before we close out, where would you tell your audience if they need to find you? How can they know about Virtual Oasis and everything else about Jessica Bankston?
So if you would like to connect with Virtual Oasis Solutions, please visit our website, which is virtualosolutions.com. You can also find us on social media, Virtual Oasis Solutions, and that is on Instagram or Facebook. And I would love to connect with you.
Thank you very much, Jessie. And what about you, Sue?
So you can find me on Instagram as Ng'aNg'a. Also, my website is Ng'aNg'a. And my company is called Bloom to Glow. It's more of a concept that I use when I'm coaching. And also you can find me on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to connect, answer questions, and coach you to your full potential. Yes.
Fantastic. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us this evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are. It's been an exciting topic we talked about. If you'd like us to cover any other further topics, please do let us know. And if someone happened to miss out where they can get in touch with Jessie or Sue, check the description. Their details are on there. My details are on there as well. Reach out to us. Let us know how the show was going on. Let us know if you had any questions. If you have any suggestions as well, are welcome as well. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and we will see you in the next couple of weeks.